We are live. I guess that's official. All right. So, oh my, the quality is really not exactly the greatest, but we'll have to make do with that as we are remote here from Sudbury. As I adjust this slightly. Yes, definitely on the computer. So, when I also kind of get me in a good position here, I will edit this out later. So, it's to your benefit. The one person who always is up on my live and then disappears. Okay, so yeah, we're in Sudbury. It's very brown in this room, and sorry I didn't have a better location or something a little bit more appropriate for Sudbury. But the reason why I'm late is because I just kind of went down and around downtown Sudbury just to get some water, as I had some excellent Indian food from the hotel that I'm staying at here. The restaurant's located in the hotel. And yeah, Sudbury is Sudbury. Look forward to a new vlog capturing the town, as I've just realized, and I'm capturing it for the first time as well as a visitor, as I've been on the outskirts. I've seen some of the sites outside of it, but I've never seen the downtown until just a couple of minutes ago. Now, here we are live, second live in 2 weeks. And why are we live? Well, YouTube apparently wants me to go live again. And for those of you that are familiar, have been around with the channel for quite some time, you'll know that I did a lot of talking early on um, with lives and stuff like that during those terrible, terrible days of the 2020s. But yeah, we're going to get back into this mainly because I'm going to be traveling to some obscure places this year, and Sudbury being one of them. Not that it's that obscure, but certainly is cold up here. I'll say that much. It is definitely still winter in this town, although they seem to be out in t-shirts and shorts. Um, yeah, they certainly think it's much milder than I do. But it's very appropriate that the announcement that came out from Disney happened today, because it's a subject that I wanted to talk about, especially in light of poor Six Flags America having their announcement also being announced this past week. So there's quite a lot to talk about, and something that I've been meaning to for some time, since the channel is also going through a transition right now, and it's obviously moving somewhat away from theme parks and amusement parks, but still focused on attractions. But we have a little bit of a different sort of approach to things. That's not saying that we're not going to go to theme parks and amusement parks. Like I said in the last live, I'll still be doing that content on the channel, but there's a lot more that I'm going to be covering, which is why I'm up here. In fact, I'm going to get back to Disney and those announcements in a second, but just to touch base on what I did today, it's half a year or 6 months from the scare season, or technically like Halloween is, yeah, it would start from 6 months from now. And I would say I've done the scariest thing that I've ever done in my life today, for sure. Once the video goes up, most people will be like, that was crazy. I've seen a couple other videos about this, but I think I haven't watched anything to spoil it, to find out if people did it with other people. But all I'll say is that I went to a pretty remote location to explore a relic of the past, let's say, an abandoned place. And I was the only one there, at least I think. I'm kind of afraid to watch the footage of what I shot because I fear of what I might see in the background. Yeah, it was very frightening. So, yeah, I don't know many that would probably do what I did today, but it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done for the channel. I hope all the footage turns out because it's definitely exciting. Um, for the benefit of those of you that are watching, I'll just say that I visited Burwash Prison. And yeah, again, getting back to what I said last week, we're trying to go to places that are welcoming. So the owners of that property were quite welcoming and invited me to come down and do a video for them. and I'm excited to see. No, not mine shaft. Although actually very, very appropriate, oddly enough. Um, yeah, it was an incredible experience, and look forward to putting that together for you guys. It's going to be a pretty big, significant video. Me being an idiot, I forgot one of my cameras. I travel, if I'm doing like a big trip like this, I generally would have like 3 cameras if you include um, an iPhone. But luckily enough, managed to get that sorted out. And I think we got some incredible footage today. Didn't get mauled by any bears, probably upset some cranes, definitely upset some beavers, as I saw many today. As they're busy in this location, it was quite crazy. It's now military. There's a military base or something going on there, or Canadian forces have something in that area. And then there's the Avalon Eco Resort that I was at. And then Burwash, which is this abandoned prison that I visited today. And it's a very big, huge site. It's probably going to be one of the scariest vlogs I've ever posted, because I certainly did not start so easily there. And I'm pretty sure there was somebody there, but they did not make themselves noticed. So yeah, I look forward to that, because yeah, it was definitely quite an undertaking. So yeah, we are moving on with the channel and doing stuff like that. I have a lot of other stuff planned. A couple of videos up here in Sudbury that I'll be covering, obviously the town as well, and then moving back south. Hopefully going to get back to theme parks and that, to Santa's Village next week, as I'm going to move back up north again. I am more than likely going to Wonderland next week as well, hopefully in the midweek. So that'll be my first venture into the park. I have a series of videos specifically in a new theme that I'm planning on covering. So I'm going to focus on getting some content for that first. And then I see your message, B-Man. So I'm going to probably do that video first and then have a meetup afterwards, either on another day or possibly after that day. But I tend to be very strict when I'm doing some video, because I can't do 2 streams of thought when I'm shooting. So it's generally like I kind of just do my thing, shoot the video, and then open up time after that. So yes, Bay Area 25, you have hit the nail on the head of what I want to talk about today, and that perfectly brings me right around to the subject, which is, I think that the amusement park industry, the one that I love and really, as it was born in the past, is now not even under threat. I think we are seeing a slow death of amusement parks. Now, Disney's announcement is very appropriate, like I said, and the reason why is because even in relation to Wonderland, and this is not like new information, most people should be able to figure this out if they look at what the progress of what amusement is, as far as from the thrill perspective and theme parks and amusement parks in general. They're all being turned into destinations. So what they want to do is to create resorts that are centered around the parks themselves. And we're going to probably lose a lot of local parks, if not. So I think Six Flags America is just the first of many that in the next, unfortunately, 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a steep and very swift decline of. If you think about the fact that most people will invest their money into going to one of these new resort places like Epic Universe, like the new Disney park, like the new Universal Studios in London, I certainly will try to go to all of those parks. But as many of you may know from my last live, and kind of from the things that I say in my vlogs, and from the reception of the parks to my vlogs, again, Wonderland, I don't really have a lot of positive things to say about the progress of where those parks are going. I definitely see Wonderland trying to morph itself into a resort destination. So if you follow AI, you'll know that they're also on the same page with this as far as believing that the parks are now going to try to become resorts and set up hotels, water parks. You only need to go to like a lot of sort of micro resorts in the states to see where it's going, because the whole idea is that these are corporations now. They're not entrepreneurs that are just interested in entertaining families. The Wild West days of amusement parks that we once loved and unfortunately don't really exist anymore, well, they're gone. It's I mentioned Santa's Village, which is a good example of a park that's still independently owned, that has a more forward-thinking philosophy as far as how they can evolve their park into something that people can still go to. I don't know, as Bay Air 25, you said too, is that Orwellian parks as well. JB is another um, kind of good overseeing philosophy of where they're going. Because yeah, they want to create a place that you're going to spend 3 to 4 days to a week at, much like the Disney model originally was the tentpole for. And thank you to anyone who's tuning in after the game as well. I kind of try to time this live so that way for my local fans they could at least take that in. And yeah, so we're now getting to a point where Six Flags America was a great park. I visited it for the first time only 2 years ago, or I guess a year and a half ago now. I had always had plans to visit it again this year. I didn't really know why, because just to go back to ride the SLC, which was the only ride that I hadn't been on, seemed to be an odd sort of uh, sort of like an odd goal, let's say, or preoccupation. But yeah, I think by chance, it looks like I kind of foresaw where the fate of that park was headed. And it's a great park. I kind of like the way it was laid out. It doesn't have the best rides overall, but the ones that they did have, like they have an Intamin, which I loved. It is a mere Superman of the one at Darien Lake, but I found it was running a little bit better than the Darien Lake one, and it was well better maintained. Still had two trains. Um, yeah, I just definitely, if you haven't been on that ride and like that particular model of coaster, it's definitely worth going down to get that at least. I also like I think it's Joker's Jinx, but the launch coaster that they had, it was a decent ride. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Wild One, that's probably the biggest tragedy about that park, is that they're going to lose that coaster because it is a vintage classic wood coaster, and everyone should know, or I've made it very clear my attachment to wood coasters, and I definitely love them. So yeah, it's going to be a sad day when it closes. I may, if they finally have a final haunt event, I guess it is on the cards. I may try to get down there for them, but I'll probably be there earlier than that, because if I can, maybe I can get 2 visits in. But it's a great tragedy that they're losing it. Not gonna say I'm gonna miss Batwing or the Vekoma Flyer. It was just as horrid as any of those models are, but definitely a shocker. And there's more to come. I don't know. Maybe even in the time that I've put this live on, certainly wouldn't happen yet. But Six Flags have some more announcements up their sleeve, and I think I brought this up before, but I'm going to bring it up again. But there was that time when Sea World Parks had made a bid for Cedar Fair, and everyone in the enthusiast groups and world had thought that that was going to be the death knell of Cedar Fair if it went through. And oh my God, please don't let this happen. This could be the worst case scenario. And now they're merged. Well, now they've been absorbed by Six Flags. Let's not kid ourselves. The whole character and identity of what Cedar Fair was, I think, is almost gone now. As much as they try to present themselves as they're working together to maintain the philosophies of both brands. We have a Six Flags chain now. We have Cedar Fair legacy parks, but it's only a matter of time. and one generation away before that is completely forgotten. And what Cedar Fair was trying to do, I think, has been lost by that merger. I think that if SeaWorld had taken over, it actually would have been better for the Cedar Fair brands, because I think that SeaWorld parks have a different philosophy that was probably more in line with what Cedar Fair was doing, but now they're gone. So I certainly wish I secretly had wished that that original merger had gone through, because I think it would have been better for Cedar Fair, and SeaWorld Parks overall. It would have been better to have a large competitor for Six Flags, or against Six Flags, so that way you don't have the monopolization that you do now. So now we're all like singing the praises, some of us still, of SeaWorld Parks and Hershend, certainly not Palace Entertainment, or formerly known as, but yeah, now there's no chief competitor in the industry in North America. So, as per my original point, we're seeing the resortification of the tentpole parks. So you're going to see a lot of heavy investment, no doubt, into Magic Mountain to try to bring that park up to a resort type of destination, because it still is very much an amusement park. It still is a drive-up park, as is the parks that I'm explaining that are the ones that I used to love and still love that I can find. Please don't mention Steve Staples, or Gene Staples, because he's certainly not a major player in this game. Well, I'm going to go to Niagara Amusement Park, and I'm excited to see what happens there this year. They are just not going to be able to. Now, from a smaller standpoint, yes, you're still going to get that nostalgic feel of what a drive-up amusement park was like, but they're just not playing on the same stage as, say, Six Flags is. And we've already seen how dramatic this change is. I mentioned it last time, but I mentioned it again, is that yes, it was great to get a final ride on the King to Ka, but I still can't believe that it's gone. I can't believe that the changes that are happening are so dramatic that I think they're only going to become worse, which is why they did not make the announcement for King to Ka's closure, because I think they have some big, big changes in mind at Six Flags, and that's going to equate to a lot of rides that we love being lost probably in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. So I would not dawdle, and I would not wait if there's certain credits out there that you haven't experienced, because as we've learned from last year, even doesn't matter how big they are or how world renowned, overnight they could be gone. And I think that the reason why they're not really announcing these closures, at least from a ride perspective or a ride level, is that they don't really want the pushback from the enthusiast community. Um, yeah, definitely getting to Six Flags America, as mentioned earlier. So I'm gonna get there. Um, I look at a place like Dorney as well, and I'm not so sure that it has much of a future, especially if they're gonna try to, take great adventure in a resort destination direction, because they may just decide to focus on trying to bring that entire community, everyone that's around that community or that eastern seaboard area, to Great Adventure, and places like Great America for the Midwest. So I also have a plan to going. I have a plan to go to. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Laurent in a second too, because yeah, Valley Fair, I don't think is on the hot seat as well, and Michigan's Adventure. So I'm probably going to try to prioritize getting to a lot of these parks that I think are going to probably be gone soon, because it's already gotten to the point now where I've been on some rides that most people had on their bucket list for some time and are already gone. Now it's obviously globally, but Dodo Dampa is gone. King to Ka is gone, among other rides. But it's happening very fast and without warning. So I've said before that the thrill era of amusement parks is probably behind us. The golden age was in the early 2000s and just before that, and even the age of the mega wood coasters that were coming out from the late 80s to early 90s to mid 90s. That was truly a golden era. I would even like match it up with like the Traver era of wood coasters in the 1920s and 1910s and 20s, when they were just going bigger and bolder and just challenging the limits of what roller coaster design could evolve to. That's where we are now, where we're seeing basically another depression on the industry, where everything is being contracted into these resort destinations. So what about Disney? Yeah, so it was long rumored, or at least when it was first, the rumors came out that Disney was going in this direction with a park in Abu Dhabi. You know, I guess say it, they're going where the money is now, and it's interesting that with a area that has a substantial amount of theme parks, none of them are particularly busy. So I think that the investors that are opening this park with Disney want to double down on really turning Dubai into really a resort city. That's 100% where they're going with it, and no bigger brand to bring there than to bring Disney. You kind of have a universal sort of idea going on with DreamWorks and their park there, IMG Worlds of Adventure. So it's here we are. Um, I'm just kind of getting lost in some of the comments here. I got to look at that in a second. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm worried. I'm definitely going to be busier than I anticipated this year, as I try to get on a lot of rides that uh, you know I need to get on before, or say my official goodbyes to some parks maybe, and to some significant rides. California is great America. I had visited earlier. I managed to get on the rides that I wanted to get on, but I definitely need to get back to that park too, because that's another great park that has some great rides that, one of my favorite wood coasters ever, I would say, especially for a night ride. Now that park's going to be gone very soon. So it's really sad. Even in the start of this channel, there was a lot of parks that kind of lost, or that we lost, or rides that we lost in that time, that I, was sort of sitting on my hands and thinking, do I really want to get out to this place and invest the time to get out there? Well, I'm not making that mistake twice. I'm certainly going to make sure that I get to these places this year, because, yeah, I love amusement parks. I think that from learning from my journey on this channel, that I love amusement parks more than I love theme parks, in the general sense, somewhat. Uh, I like theme parks that, I've always sung the praises of the European theme parks, and I love them. But some of these overblown parks, I've said it in the last vlog too, like Epic Universe, it looks incredible, it looks great, but will I be somewhat bored there? I think I might be, because I kind of like to have to be hit over the head with attractions and thrills, and that's kind of like an escapist park. And as much as it's cool to take in the atmosphere, I'm not so sure about atmosphere. It seems to be a bit artificial to me, and kind of like, I have to say, it kind of looks a little tacky. It just there's a lot of IPs. You just feel like you're going to be sold something at every step of the way. You're being sold experiences, and you're being sold things to take home. Um, but and that's fine for the fans of the respective IPs and stuff like that. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's in the truest sense of what I originally thought a theme park should be. Controversial take, perhaps, but I know some people haven't, said amazing things about Epic Universe, and I'm sure I'll love it because I love Universal parks. I definitely prefer them over Disney. Uh, and I don't really have faith in Disney, other than, the artist rendering of the new park looks certainly stunning, but and I'm sure it'll be close to that. And I do love a lot of Disney parks. I've been to all but one now. It's hard to believe that that's true, but that is the case. Um, but and that's Tokyo Disney. I've been to Disney Sea, but tragically not Tokyo Disneyland. So I had to make a choice between one of the two at the time that I visited. Certainly glad I did what I did, but having been to Disney Sea, I had that feeling as well. It's an incredible park. You can pretty much just walk around it the entire time and be in awe of being there. But as far as the rides are concerned and what you're getting for your money in that regard, it does it is a bit lacking. If it was an empty park, if you were benefited by going to an empty park on your respective visit, yeah, you'd be done the attractions relatively quick. And I don't really think they're that re-rideable. So that's the caveat when it comes to these theme parks, is that when you have these very expensive dark rides, as much as I love them, as much as I love Harry Potter at Islands of Adventure, it's one of my favorite dark rides. Once you've done it once, it's kind of like that's enough. I'd say the same for Rise of the Resistance, especially. I have ridden it twice in a day, and it's just not as impactful the second time you ride it. So it's kind of hard, because if you have a big roller coaster, we all know that if it delivers, that it'll keep delivering more, because you can change your experience by where you sit, and even just the people that you ride with can change that experience too. So that variety is going to be lost in, say, theme parks, which or at least with the vision that they have going forward. So I'm certainly afraid of where it's headed. And so I promised to talk about La Ronde. And La Ronde obviously has a very interesting relationship with Six Flags, as they're technically not owned by Six Flags, but just managed and run by Six Flags, and all the investiture that's gone into the park over the last 25 years ish. I think it is actually the 25th anniversary, or the 26th year that Six Flags has been running the park. Um, yeah, and not well, as just a recent comment was made on one of my videos about that. Certainly mismanaged, a legacy of mismanagement, as the viewer had stated. And yeah, it's really sad. I'll just say, I would love to throw ideas to them about how they could, better the park in certain ways. I certainly think that they need to have a retro Expo 67 day, where people are encouraged to dress up and clothing from that era, because that would be very, very cool to see if people kind of try to made it a cosplay day of people being in 1967 and trying to resurrect the vibe of what that park had in a much more exciting era. But we're not going to see another major roller coaster installed there, unfortunately. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Six Flags wants out of that deal. I think they re-signed that deal somewhere around just before the pandy. So like 2019, I think they signed on for another 20 to 30 years, to like 2050, I believe. But they can definitely get out of that agreement if they want to. They could buy themselves out. And I think it'd probably be the betterment that they did. It's horrible to think that other chains like Dollywood or Hershend, and I think even SeaWorld had originally been part of the bidding. I think even Disney at one point, for the management contract of that park, and somehow Six Flags ended up with the deal. I don't know how Six Flags always ends up with these agreements, like how they ended up getting Kidya, Ronde, and now taking over Cedar Fair. It's just like luck is always on their side. I do like some Six Flags parks. There's plenty that I like, but their flagship parks are just run horribly. Magic Mountain has literally, I've never had a satisfying day there, really. It's just really a nightmare. It's like kind of like when you get into that park, you're kind of like, ugh, what rides are going to be down today? I'm not really sure if I'm going to be satisfied, if I'm going to get on X2. There's guaranteed there's always going to be a ride down. Even my last vlog, they just like randomly choose certain rides to not run on certain days. Yet the ones that you'd rather give a pass on, like Batman is always running, Riddler's Revenge, although I do like that ride, is always running. There's never, like on Twisted Colossus, a full train service. Scream is always running, even though I kind of like that ride, but I know a lot of people don't. it's just like it's a nightmare going there. The park is laid out, and it's a massive park, so it's hard to get around. So when rides do open up, you just can't get across the park in a convenient amount of time. I fortunately have been on Superman. It was when it was still launching frontwards. Um, when that was quite a long time ago. I believe it was like the third year of its operation that I was on it. I certainly would have loved to have rode it again, but Drop of Doom, I haven't been on, even though I've been to the park twice, and it's just been like cycling on test runs, and it's never actually run. Um, so it's a park that is just almost like a nightmare whenever I go, and I just don't see an operator like Six Flags that is perfectly fine with getting away with that, being the future, or having faith in that future under their helm. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I'm afraid I don't really like where it's headed. My favorite park is probably Great Great America. I usually have a great time there, but it's not really considered a flagship of that particular chain. Uh, Great Adventure, I've had back and forth days with. I've been there many, many years ago and had a pretty decent time. But my last couple of visits have been the same thing. Certain rides are not open. I'd say the visit I had about 3 years ago was the most satisfying, as I did manage to get numerous rides on El Toro and King Ka when it was open. And in fact, all the rides were open, including the Sky Ride, not knowing that that was going to be the last time I ever rode it. But luckily, I took the choice to do so, because yeah, it's just it's a scary time. So we'll see. Laurent, I don't know what they'll do if Six Flags backs out of their deal. I can't see another operator picking up the scrap pieces of what that park is right now, because it's kind of, yeah, it's really kind of a depressing. It's we all know. I As much as I like that park, and it's just kind of like rough around the edges, and usually is satisfying in the sense that other than Le Monstre, it's usually, and I gotta say, Le Ronde, right? Constantly, I'm always saying it in my Anglophone way, but I get called out on that a lot. Maybe that's why the security at Le Ronde tend to, watch me very strictly whenever I go there. So I don't know. It'll be refreshing not to do a vlog there this time, but it doesn't matter. Whenever you whip out a camera at Le Ronde, yeah, the security always has questions, let's just say. And well, looking forward to that. It's going to be not too far in the future when I do my visit this year. Um, so that's basically, I wanted to give my 2 cents on that. I'm going to look at some of these comments and try to chirp in as much as I can on what is being said. But yeah, as you can see, I'm still in the game. I still want to see these parks protected, but I don't really think we have a say in this situation. And I don't think that they really care too much what enthusiasts have to say when it comes to the preservation of big e-ticket rides, at least from a thrill level. Because I think that we're at a time where a family, we've seen it in the last 5 to 10 years, especially with the new rides that have been announced, is that family rides are the go-to now. They have been the main point of focus for most parks, with the new sort of like variations on height restrictions and redesigning of trains and restraints. We're seeing a lot of new sort of, bigger rides can have smaller height restrictions, which is great. But I think that's overall, like, I think that is a request that came from park operators saying, hey, we want to make sure that we keep some of these investments, but we need to make sure that they are family friendly and we can get as many people on them as we can, or as many members of a family as we can, for those that want to brave them, because we are bringing families in. We want resorts. We want a resort mentality. We don't want like kids from high school as much as they're still going to come. We could care less about adults just coming on their own. That's literally like an afterthought, even though with most of these parks, including Wonderland, of course, uh, had campaigns to try to bring in young adults and even people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even had programs for seniors to come in for half price back in the day. And used to have like things where they walked around the park in the morning and then were encouraged to stay to ride the rides. That whole age is gone, which is tragic because that is still a market that's there and it still exists. And if you look at social demographics lately, like the population is aging, so you'd think that they'd probably try to come around. So this might be a catastrophic decision in the next couple of years or couple of decades when it comes to the family-focused mentality. But I got another thing I could say about that, but I'm not going to actually say it on this chat or this live because I don't know. It might be a little bit too controversial to say. But yeah, we're seeing a shift towards things that are not necessarily focused towards what our needs are. There's probably some speculation in chat about what the next thing to go down or the next major ride to close is. But yeah, I'm going to try to catch up on the chat here. So that's where we left off. Six Flags America definitely going. Anything going on Six Flags Montreal? We covered that. Isn't SeaWorld buying Marineland? Nobody knows who's buying Marineland. I must say, I don't even know if this whole like rumor and speculation about an owner is true or a new owner, because we are now 2 to 3 weeks away from when they traditionally open for the season. A lot of the activists would have been tooting their horns about what's going on with the animals in the park, but I think that they think that they've won their fight now, so they don't really care that much. They think better no news than any news in relation to Marineland about their future. I still think when you talk about resort destinations, there's no better park to pick up in that regard because I deal in hospitality, I deal in entertainment with this channel. I talk a lot about destinations to visit around Toronto just with people that I meet in my daily work life. And the fact of the matter is that I always say, and most would agree, that when you go to Niagara Falls, it's like a half an hour at most of time that you really need there just to see the falls. And you're like, all right, got the picture. Oh, that's really cool. It's amazing. It's spectacular, but you can't really stare at the falls for like several hours, as much as I probably have in the many visits that I've been there. But it's not a destination quite like it used to be. It's a bit kitschy. They do have Great Wolf Lodge, obviously, but that's kind of like the only true resort, and it's not cheap to go to Great Wolf Lodge. I'm going to try to fit it in this year. I know I talked about water parks and how I don't really go to them, but I am actually going to try to go to the 2 water parks in Niagara this season. That way I have like a comprehensive coverage of all the attractions in Niagara. I have a couple others to tick off of my list before I've literally done everything there. I will just for the benefit, Whirlpool Jet I have to do, and I have to do the Butterfly Observatory, which I had an interesting run in when I tried the first time. And then the Upside Down House, and that's about it. A lot of people have been telling me that Dracula's Haunted Castle, and comment if you know, has had a complete refurbishment. I can't see any evidence of that, but I'm going to go back for my 3rd round to check that out. And also Nightmares, because I haven't been there. The time that I was there was during the pandemic, and so I haven't been there since then. So obviously the experience is quite different than the first time that I went. And that's pretty much it. I think I've pretty much done everything in Niagara Falls. So look for a comprehensive top attractions in Niagara list coming up after once that's done. So yeah, there is no one. If you ask one person, they say that Herschen's buying Marineland. You ask another person, they say SeaWorld. If you ask someone that's completely off the boat, they'll say that Disney Parks has bought them. So it's all rumor. in speculation. I think that if anybody has actually put their hat into the full, or put their hat in to purchase the park, that it's probably a more private investor looking to get into the game, or it might even be like something in relation to Parks Niagara, or the Niagara Parks Commission, or even the government, let's say, as far as Falls View is concerned, because they really do need a comprehensive resort close to Niagara itself to keep people in that town. Because if you're not into those attractions that I just mentioned, and a lot of people don't even know that there are actually cool things to do, like the power station's incredible, the one where you go actually underground. That's an awesome attraction. The Whirlpool Aero Car is still a great attraction, 100 years running. There's a lot to do there, but I don't think people are incentivized to stay because they don't have a decent place to stay. Because you know it's getting a bit depressing down there now. I'll say, as far as the hotel selection is concerned, you either have the chain hotels, which are fairly expensive, or then you have the lower end hotels, which I've done a glowing review of the cheapest one there. So it's still very affordable, but unless you're crazy like me and actually are into haunted houses and kind of like carnival-esque type of attractions, then you're not going to stay in Niagara Falls for that much time. So to have a substantial park there that people can stay and do a day at, and then do all the Niagara attractions, say, on the next day, I think that's a no-brainer for anyone with the money, or the investor to actually, an investor with the money to put their, get involved with. I think it's a great idea. Obviously, I totally endorse the animals finding new homes. They have to be the right places. There's some complications with that too. And I said before that no investor really wants to be involved in that park until that issue is resolved, because I do not want to absorb the controversy. I wouldn't want to see my brand tainted by the history of that park per se. Still doing a documentary on it, as objective as possible. But I don't necessarily have anything great to say about the former slash current owners. They've been perfectly amiable to me. But yeah, there's definitely some controversial stuff in the past that can't be overlooked in regards to that. So yeah, I don't think any new owner wants to be really involved in that particular brand. But I hope it gets saved, because that arrow can't stay SBNO for that much longer before it just becomes more reasonable to scrap it. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because it's a great coaster. Unusual, yes, but a great. Dragon Mountain's great, and one of Canada's probably best coasters ever, without question. Um, yeah, so yeah, Marineland's been parceled out as far as the land is concerned. That's apparently the deal that they have in place in order to get investiture into the park so they can open this year, but there's still no announcement about how they're going to open. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Um, I'm trying to find out what B-Man said. That's half is going to be condos. Yeah, definitely with 1,000 acres, a 1/4 of that land is more than enough to put a resort slash theme park on. So I think that you're going to see. The housing thing has been talked about a lot in relation to Niagara, or at least to Marineland. And I don't know if people that have been to Niagara Falls understand that the the desire for housing in that area is not uh, really strong. Let's say it's not a community that's on the up. It's not a community that people are striving to live in. I hate to say it, but I think that the town itself needs to finish its own evolution towards a new focus as far as its economy is concerned. It is just a tourism economy now, when it used to be an industrial economy and then evolved to what it is today. So there's a lot of property available throughout Niagara if you want it. There's a lot of buildings that are due to be condemned, and the actual town of Niagara Falls, like the subdivisions, or the housing areas that exist right now, the communities that exist. Some of them are run down, particularly in the downtown area, or like old Niagara. And they, just like a town that I'm in right now, Sudbury, have their problems with homelessness, and there's no other way to say it, but problems with drug use and just stuff like that. So yeah, it's not all smiles and sunshine in Niagara like people would think. You only need to go there in the off season to see it and see how depressing it can get. And me, I'm not a prospective buyer, but if I was thinking about buying a house in a community right now, I don't think that Niagara is the first thing that I would be thinking of. So I'm not so sure that the housing solution that people talk about is actually in high demand in that community. Um, and the current ownership is in between situation. So we're still talking about marine land. Um, what's all this affording has they keep touting? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, B man definitely hit the nail on the head of what I'm just saying there. Condos usually mean speculator owned. Yeah, yeah, no, it's just not going to happen. I just this whole housing situation, Niagara, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Darien Lake and Frontier City are also lessened by Six Flags. I completely overlooked Darien Lake. Really, just like uh, an underappreciated gem in the chain, I would say, as far as just like an experience is concerned. It's not a full day, but it's still actually a really beautiful park to visit. It's still relatively well run. In fact, you do get a very community feel when you go to Darien Lake. I always love visiting there. I usually always have a great time. Their haunt event, while small, is done very well, and they have two excellent houses there. Yeah, it is underwhelmed by a lack of investment, and for where it is, yes, it's in the outskirts of Buffalo, and that's not a city that's on the up and up as well. So yeah, it's hard to say that there's a bright future for that park, but it's already a resort. It technically, I believe, isn't really owned by Six Flags, but just managed by Six Flags. So that same situation. So when it comes to it, yeah, I think that they need to get some substantial investment and try to evolve that park into another thing. And I don't mean just a water park because we're past the Superman being torn down rumor, but unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it might happen. It might happen in the near future because as much as more water slides, um, yeah, it's a significant portion of their offering and in high demand. I'm not so sure that a larger water park is a solution. They really need to think about how they can evolve that park in a different way. For the lack of, I don't even know what they could do. I don't think that they can really install another massive thrill ride there as much as we would want that for that park to become a big destination. Uh, at least Predator is getting some TLC. Yes, Titan track. The thing will probably be 100% Titan track in 2 years if they keep going at this rate. But that ride has been notoriously rough, and a hybrid RMC-ish type Titan track roller coaster might not be such a bad idea for Predator, considering how it has aged poorly over the years. So there's certainly a future in line for that park based on that kind of investment, but what's going to go on beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one to watch. I don't know there is a lot of people that go there for the resort-ish, like camping experience, and it's definitely worth it because it does take a bit of time to get out to that park. But if you're doing Niagara and that, it's something that you can kind of loop in. But yeah, it's a difficult one to say the least as far as where they're going to go next at Darien Lake. I don't think they're under threat, but yeah, it's gonna be weird. I'll say that much. They'll probably be getting Superman's trains from Six Flags America, as I saw rumored already. Um, that would only make sense. That would be definitely a welcome addition, considering that they only have that one train that everybody knows about that was rebuilt, or a brand new train actually. But they only have the one. So yeah, it's time for Darien Lake to get some TLC and love because as far as aesthetically is concerned, it's definitely one of the best parks in the chain as far as the look and the feel of the park. Yeah, it's a great park. It definitely deserves a lot more credit than it gets for sure. Frontier City. I've never been to Frontier City, so that's a big one that, like as well, I'd like to get to. It's going to be probably difficult for me to manage. I guess if they announce that it's going to close, I'll prioritize it. But yeah, that's not an easy one. But it's long been rumored to be under threat, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does get announced for sure. Um, yeah, we won't even talk about VPair because that whole debacle is just ridiculous. And it was well documented on the channel back in the day at Laurent. Um, uh, it, it's no, My problem is not with investment in Laurent; it's the poor operations and the abysmal switchbacks at the entrance. Not sure what you mean by switchbacks at the entrance, and like the switchback railway, or maybe just like the fact that you can't re-enter the park, which is another stupid policy that they have. Um, I'll just say that it is the most, um, I want to say communist. I hate to say it, but hopefully I don't get flagged for that. But yeah, it is the most overmanaged from a security standpoint park that I ever go to. It really is kind of like every time I go, I'm like, what are we going to get ourselves in today? I've dealt with their security a lot. I did want to mention this, but like I've even dealt with their security outside of the grounds where a security guy came and talked to me outside the gates. And he's like, what have you been doing all day? And like, uh, I ended up giving him the contact from uh, an old market or PR director at Laurent. I certainly hope I did not cost her per position because like he kind of was like really forceful. It's like I need to know who gave you permission to film in the park. And I never heard anything back from that. But it's somewhat ridiculous. There are plenty of people that vlog there. In fact, I say a lot of positive things about Laurent, and probably the most famous or second most famous YouTube channel out there has one of their most popular videos craps on Laurent as one of the worst parks ever. So it's not like I'm doing them any disservice by my visits, but yeah, I definitely get over policed when I'm there. So it's very ridiculous. And look forward to me being very forefront about that perspective in this coming season because I've decided not to pull any punches with my experience there, and to not, try to save my reputation with a park that really has not given any appreciation for my exposure of it on this channel. So the videos are very popular, so I'll definitely be covering it no matter what. But I don't know if I have as many good things to say about the park this year as I may have, forced myself, let's say, to have done so in the past. Um, so that's also going to come in relation with Wonderland. I definitely feel that after I released my final video of the season, that they're going to try to ban me. We'll see, but I'm definitely not going to bite my tongue on my perspectives of how I've been treated and also what I've been saying all along, and the fact that yes, now they've suddenly, been doing some of the things as far as changes are concerned. But is that park still its original vision from the early 80s? Have they maintained what Wonderland was set up to be? I think you can see where that's going. But yeah, I definitely have some controversial things to say in regards to that. Um, no, it's Cedar Fair that merged with it. Okay, yeah, it says internal conversation here. Um, Niagara Falls, New York is worse than Canada as far as the housing is concerned. It certainly is. I actually have a visit there next week coming up, and I'm going to be profiling on the channel. I'm going to be crossing the border by foot for the first time, so that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it's very depressing on Niagara Falls, New York side. Um, I yeah, you want to talk about a place that needs like a whole refreshment as far as their entertainment and attractions are concerned, well, there's literally almost just one in Niagara Falls, New York, and most Americans come over to the Canadian side to get other family stuff because like there is no family entertainment on Niagara Falls, New York, and it's really like it's not a pleasant visit. I'll say that. Apologies to anybody from Niagara Falls, New York, or even Canada, but yeah, they're definitely the golden age is gone. Even the hotel, it's my screensaver. The Niagara Hotel where Marilyn Monroe stayed when she filmed that film is now closed and probably will be torn down at some point in the near future. Um, but the photo shoot that they did in that hotel is my screensaver. It's just classic. Um, life after I want to. Oh, we've had a redacted message here. Um, so we want to see here. Are you a fan of the original Power Rangers? I think you've asked this before, B Man. I was definitely a fan of the Pink Ranger. Who wasn't? That would be a fan of such. But I never probably watched a show. I don't know. I was never really into that sort of like genre. Let's Yeah, it was never my thing really. It definitely was on in my younger years, but I think that when it was in its heyday, I was still a little too old to appreciate it quite as much. Um, so yeah, indoor skydiving. Yes, I haven't done that as well, JB. That is one that during the eclipse last year, I was contemplating doing it because they had it going, and it was the first time I had heard that facility up and running in quite some time. Good riddance to time warp, indeed. Yeah, it's finally gone. Like I think that the park didn't take too much appreciation for my take on it, as I kind of hinted on last time. But it is what it is. It wasn't a great ride, and they need to be less sensitive. Wonderland, you need to be a little less sensitive. You're one of the biggest parks. You're the biggest park in Canada, and you're so sensitive about opinions. It's ridiculous. Or especially mine, it seems like. What do they hope they scrapped? I'm still going through questions here, so I guess yeah, you should probably hit me up as I get to the bottom of this list here. Um, Laurent had a chance to put it forward, so we already covered that. Yes, V-Pair. Yes, yes, smartphone. It scrapped it. Who's ready for Alpine Fury in 2026? Yeah, so I'm not even talking about that, but this whole like Alpine Fury is going to be running in May is I don't see it happening, especially with Premiere involved. Or let's just call it for what it is. Premiere rides. They kind of like are very ambitious, but as far as their execution is concerned, I'm not so confident in it. Like we only have Wolf's Revenge just being announced as when it's going to be running or opening up to the public, which is the 16th. So a little over a week from now. Completely different manufacturer, obviously, but it just goes to show you the amount of testing that goes into these rides before they're actually ready to be introduced to the public. So I don't think it's going to happen in May. In fact, I'll literally put my word on that because yeah, I just don't see it happening. It'd be nice, but I want to see some construction of the ride, and even though it's been topped off and pretty much completed, maybe by the time that I get to the park, I will at least be able to cover some of the construction outside of invitation. No, I'm not bitter, but whatever. It is what it is. Um, uh, Make Conklin great again. I love that comment. I love it. And, Conklin still exists as North American Midway Entertainment, I believe they're called, which is essentially Conklin. Um, it's not as great as it was for sure. Like you only need to go on that haunted house ghost train ride that they have to be like, what is going on here? When back in the day, the CNE had probably one of the best ghost train offerings in the world outside of Germany. But now it's just like a pale shadow of what it used to be. They get one or two new rides every year. I don't think they're going to have anything announced this year as new, X Drive being the last new major ride. But Yeah, there's a little bit of improvement needed there. I will be going to the CNE again. Always have a great time doing it. Got to give my head a bit of a rattle. Hopefully, the zipper comes back. Yeah, it's kind of shocking that of its exclusion in the last season because it's 50 years running, still Chance Classic and one of the best amusement rides or flat rides ever to be introduced ever. It's just one of the best, and it deserves to be at the CNE. Look on the bright side for 2026, 27. Things will be brighter when the costly and bad stuff is gone. I certainly hope so. I'm not necessarily asking for crazy thrill rides to be introduced every year. I'm just really hoping that we kind of get out of these dark ages of worrying about parks actually uh, being sustained, and some of our favorite rides going away without notice would be certainly a thing that I would like to have in the past. And yeah, we'll see. But Silver Dollar City is still my favorite theme park in North America, and nothing can touch it. It's only got six major rides, um, but they're all amazing, perfectly maintained. Even Thunderation is just, I think, is an incredible ride and one of the best in its class. And they just, when it comes to the experience overall and the theming, they are second to none when it comes. They're outmatched. Maybe Dollywood is close, but Dollywood, even though they have a lot of rides, it's such a small park. Like you can go through it very fast. And Silver Dollar City is actually, I believe, smaller, but there's just so much to that park to do. It's just an incredible experience, and I can't wait to go back. And also in just like in a stunning location too. So yeah, definitely love, 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 love the Hershey parks. So yeah, I just really hope that Six Flags can up their game and just have great maintenance for one. And ride ops is another thing. I think that's another thing that kind of gets me in trouble as far as being critical of. But I just don't. I'm always going to be critical of people that look bored and want to be doing something else, and having like seven ride ops that are basically just chatting amongst themselves instead of engaging with guests. Again, I work in hospitality. I see it even with where I work. And it's just this, it is maybe a sign of the times, but it's just a lazy attitude. But I think it's mainly a lack of management and effective management and motivation and all that kind of stuff that is lacking in a lot of workplaces nowadays, especially in North America. Not to beat on Niagara Falls more, but you definitely see that in like as far as like the food offerings and restaurants in Niagara. Yeah, there's just the engagement. If you're spending your hard-earned money on these attractions, you should feel appreciated. And in a lot of these places, you're just kind of dealt with as if you're like, yeah, you're just sort of like an encumbrance to their day. And it really like if a lot of ride ops, say in the Cedar Fair chain and the Six Flags chain or whatever you want to call it now, were allowed to like bust out their phone while they're working, then you would just see people staring at their phone the entire time. And it's a sign of the times, but it should be enforced, or there should be a management principle in place to deter from that, because at some of the parks that I've said that I do like, you don't have that, especially not the Hershey parks. I would even say like a Niagara amusement park. They love the fact that you're there. They appreciate it so much, and you can feel it in that. And most of the people that work there, I would say, like maybe there's a couple exceptions. I can't really think of too much of that, but like, they do talk about like having a hard day sometimes and being overworked, which is kind of funny. But at least they're trying, which I just don't get at those other bigger chain parks. Also, a museum wanted the time warp cars, but none has donated to them. I'm guessing that's the roller coaster museum. It'd be nice if they do donate one of the cars, but there are still, I believe, seven Volaires, if my count is right, functioning. So, there's still opportunities for other Volaires to be donated. But it would be kind of funny with the reputation that Time Warp has, or Hero, if it ever closes down in the UK, for one of those rides to donate their cars just for the notoriety's sake, or the notorious sake. But the good thing is some Nighthawk track, and the car has been donated. I missed my chance to go on Nighthawk, but as I said earlier with the flying Vocomas, is like I'm not really a big fan of that design of ride. So, good riddance for sure. Have you bought? Have I bought the Niagara Parking Pass? I have not bought the Niagara Parking Pass. I will say that having done the waterfall vlog recently, and then another one that's coming that's actually for just the nature stuff. There's going to be a lot of nature stuff this year as well because I realized that I love to do those types of vlogs. I love to go to these places. So, and I'm up here in Sudbury doing that too. So, yeah, the Niagara Parks parkings pass for those park and destinations and waterfalls and all that kind of stuff is 100% worth it. It gets you into a lot of those attractions that you'd otherwise have to pay for at a pretty steep rate. It's a one fee, and I definitely cover it in the second vlog that's coming up on the channel where I go around Hamilton and cover a lot of those waterfalls and attractions, including Dundas Peak. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I can sing the praises of it for sure anymore. Do the barrel experience. Well, I think the new Niagara Fury replacement is going to be somewhat of a replacement on that. And if any of you remember, Niagara Falls used to have a journey over the falls where they had a simulator that was located underneath um, uh, the customs bay, or the Canadian side, the customs checkpoint. Underneath that bridge, they had a motion simulation theater that simulated you going over the falls. And it's sad that it's gone. It was like, many, many years ago. So like the technology is out of date, but I remember it being pretty good for what it was. And yeah, I think that maybe a revisit to something like that would be kind of cool. Dracula's house was redone, and I'm from Niagara Falls. Thank you, Bobby T, because that will pretty much confirm it for me that I'm going to be there next week to do it again. I will definitely go and give it a go. Because yeah, I always have a great time. It's always a great laugh. And unlike my first vlog from there, I will definitely not be drunk, as I was definitely a little bit tipsy on that particular visit the first time. But you can definitely tell if you watch that video. I've seen the interior has been repainted. Well, I certainly hope it's better than that, because I've heard that it had some substantial changes to make it. It was dated, but it was still of its time. That was the coolest thing about it, that it still kind of felt like its original self, and one of those classic attractions from, like, say, the 60s and beyond. Um, but yeah, I've found out that it's actually I've done it 3 times previously, but I completely don't remember the very first time I did it in the 90s. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. I hope the Drop Tower and Dragon Mountain, as well as some of the themed kiosks, can be saved in Marineland. Great theming on the structures, as well as the Dragon Mountain entrance. I think that most of the rides there are themed very well. Even the whale ride, I forget what it's called now, Shamu's Spin, I believe, something like that. It's a beautiful ride, the way where it's placed in the park, and how it's the ride itself is pretty intense because it's like a teacup ride that you can spin with your own force of motion. Great ride, great. It's beautiful. The Condor has not been running for quite some time, so that's a ride that I think is definitely under threat. But it seems that Laurent is rebuilt theirs, so maybe there is hope that it will be rebuilt as well. The Flying Dragon is an incredible ride. I still think it's one of the 5 best flats, if not 10 best flats maybe in Canada. Flying Magic Carpet ride, a lot of force on it. If you get a good ride operator, watch that vlog from a couple years ago, if you know what I'm talking about, where you talk about not interested ride operators. Well, that was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had at a park. That one time that I had on that ride. I hope that so we covered that. Niagara after the DuPont and Union Carbide is quite dark. Lots of skeletons in the closet on both sides of the border for sure. Covered that. Even though they didn't live too far from the park. I've never been to Marineland. How is Dragon Mountain compared to Viper or Viper at Darien? Viper is a great ride, except for that bow tie. The yeah, that's a pretty rough element on Viper. I still maintain that that final helix into the tunnel is one of the best helixes on a ride of its kind. I think the speed it takes, and especially during the haunt event where that entire area is covered in mist and you have no idea where you're going, amazing finish to a ride. Uh, yeah, I love Viper. I think it's probably not in the top 10 of aero coasters of all time, but it's definitely well maintained. It looks great in the park. I think it's a great ride. Yeah, it could be a bit rough if you don't brace yourself for it in that particular element I mentioned. But other than that, it's a great. I'd say Dragon Mountain's the better ride because overall the experience is just so much more vast and it changes so much. Even just like the weird tunnel effect when you go in the tunnel and the temperature drops inside there before you come into that final bow tie. Yeah, there's a lot more to Dragon Mountain, even though it has its parts where there's nothing going on, let's say. But yeah, I think it's an excellent ride. Uh, I think they're both excellent rides and both should be saved as long as they can be. Most likely due to the Love Canal. It's a lot of people have left prematurely. Population is significantly less. All right, we're talking about actual major things from Love Canal back in the day, not with the government that we have. We're going into it now, aren't we? They should fix the gang and thug problem at Canada's Wonderland. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little thing to say about that. Let's just say I have a roast of Canada's Wonderland planned. So I'm just going to say what I have to say about what the real experience at Wonderland is, because I think it's probably to the benefit that most people that of my age, that when I say that I've been to the park many times in the last 5 years, they're like, oh my God, I haven't been to the park in like 10 years. Because yeah, most people a lot of people outside of enthusiasts just don't even think of it as a place to go anymore for a day out. Obviously, Wonderland wants to change that this year with an announcement of another major ride, but Yukon Striker didn't really change that for a lot of people. I'd say that I'd even say controversially that Behemoth was the last big ride that they announced that brought out the adult public, because that was the first game-changing ride at Wonderland as far as like their offering was concerned. I know this is going long and late, but we'll try to wrap it up. I'm trying to get to all your questions here and comments. But I don't know if Alpine's going to do that because now it's kind of like most people know that Wonderland are introducing like these groundbreaking rides, let's say for Canada, but I'm not so sure the general public in Toronto are really that, sussed to try them out. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. It's just I'm going off of like talking to the adults that I know, and it just doesn't seem like a thing that they generally are into. Much more different than say if you are talking to the Florida public, or if you're talking to people in Europe, for example, Netherlands, Germany, and even the UK. Yeah, it's a different vibe. Toronto's an interesting place, and I'll probably touch on a couple things in relation to it because, yeah, it's certainly not the greatest for a theme park experience. Let's say if you want to see like the community talking about that place all the time. Yeah, and I don't think that much is going to change there as far as the gang problem and all that kind of stuff. Wonderland's an interesting place. There's a reason why I don't go in the summer months, but I definitely will touch on some of that. But it's not. It can be unpleasant at times. Looking forward to your NY vlog. Niagara Falls has died. Rainbow Center demolished. Convention Center turned into a gross casino. Turtle Building in a state of unknown. But hey, they got there and it cuts off. Balloon back. Yeah. So, yeah. There's a lot of weird buildings in Niagara Falls, New York. So I'm definitely going to cover as much of them as I can on this future vlog. She's going to be NFCC this year on Saturday. Thank you, B-Man. And I'm not so sure I know what that's referring to. I probably missed it from this chat being so long, unless we're talking about GP. Um, how long will Laurent be around? Whew, hopefully forever, but not. It certainly needs to be a different thing going forward. I think that within 5 years, if we don't see some significant investment, the fireworks are the one thing that's keeping that park going. I'll say that, to be the truth, and that is what it is. So hopefully, we'll see more from them. And maybe they have big plans that we don't know about, but it's difficult because Laurent, um, we're like getting on to 15 years, 20 years running of no major changes at that park. And I'm sorry, but a new train for Boomerang is just not going to do it. I'm glad to see that they've made that investment at least, but also Boomerang, really, like that's an interesting one. I know it's a classic ride as far as boomerangs in general. I believe it's the second ever one to open. Second, actually, first, I think. Second constructed, but first to open, because the one in Belgium didn't open, but it was constructed first, something along those lines. So classic ride, but that's a different era for Laurent when they were way more ambitious with bringing in big rides. And yes, I still have the history of Laurent completion vlog films to put together for you guys, which will be coming in the very, very near future, I promise. Probably most of those will not start to debut until the midsummer and then going into the latter part of the season, as they do take quite a bit of time to put together. So, and as I'm trying to really push up the cinematic and the production value of everything that I do on the channel, which is why some of these videos aren't coming out. I have a backlog of about 20 videos to publish right now, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't go back and watch a video and then I'm like, oh my God, that sound edit was brutal, or the stabilization was off in a video and stuff like that. So trying to make sure that everything's nice and smooth. And definitely watch the Europe trip film. I'm definitely proud of that one. I think it came together very, very well. And there's a lot of like truths that I reveal actually in that video that I was kind of on the fence about whether or not I should actually publish, but I did. And yeah, it's a pretty good insight into me and my journey on this channel, without question. Are you looking forward to the Gravity Group work on Mindbuster? I think I said it before, probably, maybe even possibly more than Alpine Fury. Controversial take, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think it's going to be great to ride it, especially when it's complete. If they do the latter half, which I'm 100% confident that they're going to do. I'm worried about riding the Beast because I'm going to be doing the Beast probably at some point this year, and I haven't been on it since it's had its work done, or any of the new work done. Hopefully, this doesn't take away from the feel of that ride. Night rides on the Beast, always incredible. And the roughness of it, I think, is what really adds to it sometimes. So it's going to be an interesting one. At least it's not Titan track. That's all we can be thankful for in that regard. I heard the heartbeat sound is back at Thunder Mountain, Thunder Run at Wonderland. Yes, AI confirmed that that's back, and then other people on his in his community kind of mocked that inclusion. But I'm like, come on, man, that's one of the best things about Thunder Run. I don't think they've done anything in the interior, unfortunately, which is long overdue. It's kind of ridiculous because, yeah, the lighting and everything needs to be done. Have a complete do-over. It could completely change that ride. It would be a whole new generation of people that could appreciate that. And it's about time that they get down to doing that. I think that we're going to see that soon with Alpine opening up, possibly maybe next year if it hasn't already happened this year. But yeah, Thunder Run's a classic. Everyone loves it, and it's going to be even more popular if they bring it back to its original glory or update it. Because yeah, there's a lot of indoor mine trains that I've done recently that just put Thunder Run to shame as far as the lighting and everything is concerned. Especially that one at Fantasiana, which is, they have the exact same ride as Snoopy's Racing Railway, but the lights and the The LEDs effects and everything on that ride are incredible, especially at night. It's kind of like an insult to us that we don't have that technology being used in a ride like that here. Which, come on, Wonderland, let's go. I'm sure, I know you're listening. You seem to have done everything that I've asked so far. So, yeah, no more choo choo. I hope that's not happening on Thunder Run. The heartbeat is back, and we're all a winner for that for sure. Am I looking forward to? Okay, so read that already. Many people from Toronto came to Darien Lake because Canada's Wonderland is always too crowded. That's true, and now the competition isn't there anymore. So hopefully they can figure out what they can do to compete against Wonderland once again. All right, I'm heading out. I know this is getting late, so cheers, B man. Is there any way to? My email has been on this channel forever, and no one seems to be able to find it. It is on there. I'm not going to announce it in this chat, but I do have an email for this channel, and it's in the About section. So definitely check it out if you want to communicate direct. Many years ago, people from Toronto came in. Yes, already. An RMC Raptor, I think, would help a ton at La Ronde, although I don't know if Six Flags is willing to do that with the current operations. Yes, I agree. That would be a great addition. I had my Future Series video that I produced some time ago and made a lot of suggestions that I think are still pertinent today. Even the Vekoma Boomerang, family boomerang, I still think would be an excellent addition at that park. It would not cost them all that much at all. And there still isn't one in Canada. So it seems like a no-brainer to me, but they just don't have the money. Anyone that I've talked to that is familiar with the situation there, they say, unfortunately, there's just no funds. But yet it seems like they have a lot of legacy management there that are eating up their budget. I'm just going to say it because yeah, and that security budget, what's going on with that? So yeah, they do need it, like security in general. Like Laurent is Laurent, like they do have their share of problems there too. It's not just Wonderland. So yeah, it would make sense. Curious to see if Darien could still draw people from Canada. Yeah, so they have me. I'm definitely coming down there still, but I don't think they really advertise anymore. There's that infamous commercial where they basically trashed on Wonderland as part of their ad campaign about 20 years ago to try to get people from Canada down into Darien Lake. And, I think it offers something quite different to Wonderland, especially with the camping option and with concerts and stuff like that. There's like some sort of party going on outside here. Yeah, it definitely should. They definitely have an opportunity to do that. I don't know about this year because I've been to Buffalo twice in the last 3 weeks, and I had the easiest border crossing I've ever had just the other day or just last week. So don't believe everything you hear. There are plenty of Americans that I'm seeing in my work life here that are super apologetic with what's going on. But I have to be honest. I think that the media just really influences people further than they should be, because there's never been a better opportunity to go to the States and to enjoy what they have to offer. There's plenty of great people in America that are completely welcoming to us and vice versa. And I wouldn't let what's going on in the news or politics get in the way of your enjoyment of life and of your summer and of this particular season. Getting back to the original subject here, that a lot of these parks might be under threat. So don't sleep on that just because of what's going on TV or on the internets here. Do you think that Endor at Six Flags America? Do you think that Endor will get Six Flags America's SLC trains? The trains that they have now are still a newer design than, say, what I think that the second generation trains that they have on Endor, and they probably possibly will, but is it going to really improve anything? Endor is a really weird ride that I don't really like. I like where it's situated in the park, but I don't at the same time. Like you can get some beautiful sight lines of it. It's an okay ride, but it's an SLC. Uh, yeah, it still baffles me that the park actually got that ride, especially because they already have an invert. I think it's the only park in the world that has two thrill inverted coasters. So yeah, it's a weird one for me. Uh, I'd rather see Ondor scrapped or moved to a different park that needs it, than and have it replaced with something better, possibly a water coaster, as I suggested in my future vlog about potential rides that they could get there. I'm looking at just an Insta. What it's? I think it's under contact. Like it's definitely on there. I can't look at it right now because I'm on this live, but I will say like it is my old name, like my original uh, channel name, which was Coaster Daft. So yeah, that's how you can get a hold of me. And yeah, so yeah, Mark has uh, qualified my statement. It is definitely there. Okay, we need the upper waterfalls on Wonder Mountain to be turned on again. I missed that comment, and yes, we do. But again, I don't know if Wonderland really cares about the aesthetics of that park. I think they have a different agenda in mind now, and that is more glow in the dark food for you to consume. Uh, I've been critical, I think, in my original Winterfest vlog about the food service at the park. I will say that if you want like the prison cafeteria experience, then you're going to get it at Wonderland, and you'll be happy for that. Um, they are trying in certain areas. Yeah, it's probably because you're on mobile. The But when it comes down to it, yeah, the food definitely, as much as they try to, in the media events that I have not been invited to, uh, they, have these rollouts of food. Um, you never really have that many options on a park day to get a large variety of food. Usually, like 50% of the food offerings are closed, and yeah, it's not great. Um, so I think that there was some definite improvement with Grand World Expo's the redoing of the restaurant there. I definitely liked it. It didn't blow my mind because it was still kind of the same idea. I thought that originally when they had that side satellite bar, and I don't really drink anymore, but at the same time, I thought that they had this amazing like satellite bar there, and they had a really good offering at the tail end of. I think this was actually 2019 when that happened. Yeah, it was definitely when Yukon Striker opened, but 2019 they had a pretty decent restaurant there, and yeah, I think that they just need to think about having less funnel cake offerings and to just how to better manage the staffing of those restaurants. If you want to have, like, say, less restaurants in satellite locations, they got rid of the burger joint that I loved in the Muskoka section, and now replaced it with like chicken fingers and stuff. And I was really disappointed by that decision too. And also the satellite bar there is gone, so that's ridiculous. It's just not up to the standard as it once was. So I don't know why that went off the rails. I did do a Wonder Bars, and this is just a complete aside, but when I met Theme Park Worldwide when they first visited the park, um, I did my Wonder Bars vlog, so that's hidden in that because I don't really announce those things in the descriptions. But that was a fun vlog to do, and I'm going to be doing another version of that this year. So as much as I said, don't look forward to seeing me drunk in vlogs. I do have another version of that planned this year. So nothing makes things more tolerant or tolerable at Wonderland than fast lane and a visit to all the bars. That's for sure. I would like to get up to Wonderland again. I haven't been there since 1996. Well, it is definitely overdue. You have a lot of things to ride there, Mark, because yeah, as much as I am not somewhat, but critical on some regards to the park. I still think it is definitely one of the best in the chain, and without question, the best in Canada because there's no competition. So, yeah, definitely get your keister down there because there's a lot of great rides. That's one thing I will say is that they do actually are very good at operations as far as having the rides running. I got a lot of praise to give to the engineers and mechanics and that run the park. They're involved in the park, but yeah, it's definitely worth a visit. No more bags allowed in Quebec for the big three. I believe that's abbreviation for Quebec. Oh, in the queue for the big three. The install lockers at each ride. Pay up. Yeah, that's gonna be problematic. Yeah, I'm not so sure I like that, especially if I'm bringing a camera to vlog. Um, Normally, I just carry it on me, and then I shouldn't even say this in the channel, but yeah, I'm gonna be thinking about how I'm gonna be shooting, videos at Wonderland this year because I'm gonna be focusing a lot on visuals, and not necessarily riding as much, even though I have a fast lane this year, so I don't think I'll have to worry too much about that. I hope they finish Mindbuster next year because that would help round out a solid top 5. Yes, I still like Wild Beast, though. I'm gonna say it for what it is. I love how rough it is if you're not sitting on a wheel seat. I said this in the last live, but, it has a special place in my heart, Wild Beast does, so I'm glad they are able to keep up their classic rides over the years. And yeah, that's the thing is that they still put love in TLC other than say into Thunder Run, and make sure that you're getting as good of an experience as you once did when those rides opened. I'm just going to get a locker for the day. Maybe they'll have a locker pass. They should offer a all locker pass for the Six Flags chain, so that way you don't have to worry about it. In fact, I would probably, if it was an extra $100, I would buy that because if you go to the parks that I do, or as many as I do sometimes, when you're going to Six Flags Great Adventure or Great America, or any of them for that matter, it would just be convenient to have that option so that way you didn't have to worry about it. But I believe they're all done by a third party or run by a third party, so I don't think that will happen anytime soon. When do you think Wonderland will ever crack 20 plus coasters? They keep on taking one on it. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen very soon because I think that Six Flags likes Magic Mountain having the record that it has. Um, I will say offhand that when I was at Energylandia, they had claimed that they had the record, and then I counted. I'm in the park and I counted numerous times, and I'm like, how do they have 20 coasters? I don't and they don't. They actually falsely made that claim, which is hilarious. But that's a park that incredible park, so nothing bad to say about it. But they're way more tongue in cheek with that kind of stuff, which would be refreshing if parks here were a little less corporate and a little tight lipped and oh, you can't say that as they are with Six Flags slash Cedar Fair management. Um, Fanny packs, I think that there's a lot of money to be made for the lockers, so I think that they're just going to keep on this trend of making you put things in lockers. I hate it. It drives me crazy, especially when you go on a ride. There's always people that break the rules, and like with cell phones, people are not going to put their cell phone in a locker, so they still have a spot where you can store your cell phone. And really, like, let's look at it like realistically. A cell phone, like, they're not as thick as a fanny pack, but at the same time, like, come on, like if you're going to keep a spot, have a designated area where people can leave their cell phones or already have the bins built. It just makes everything way more complicated, and uh, nobody enjoys that experience whatsoever. So yeah, I definitely Clown World. I would wear it like a purse, Chewbacca. Yeah, it's any money invested on flight deck is wasted money. Yeah, I don't know why it's still there. I haven't had a good ride on it in ages. It's probably one of the most overly themed queue lines now in Wonderland. Um, Wonderland loves storage sheds so much so that most of their attractions are themed after them. It's a joke from the roast, but it's the truth of the matter. If there is a park that really puts no love into that, I guess we're getting a change. We're seeing a change with Alpine Fury, but we haven't seen um, what that ride station is going to look like. But Leviathan is an embarrassment. Behemoth is an embarrassment. Yukon Striker is fantastic, and it was definitely a different change for how they were approaching that. Because before it was just like, well, we already have a shed available in the back, so why don't we just use that for the ride? So yeah, yeah, not a big fan. Uh, I'll find out this. Luckily, they have jackets with zippable pockets. I just bring the minimum I can that can fit. And that's kind of what I do. My camera can fit into the pocket of my jacket, so that's usually kind of what I get away with as far as like not having to use the lockers. So it'll be interesting to see what they've come up with this year. That is for sure. What do you think will be the best coaster at Wonderland, or will be the next coaster at Wonderland to get the axe? Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if it is Flight Deck. That area definitely seems that whole Grand World Expo. I love that it's been retained somewhat close to what its original vision was. But I don't think Wild Beast is going anywhere. To be honest, I think that we've already seen from other examples in the chain that they've been rebuilding the clones of Wild Beast at other parks for different ride experiences. And I think that Wonderland has been one of those parks. And if I'm going to give Peter credit for anything, is that I think we have a similar philosophy as far as like honoring the legacy of these rides. And, he wants a replacement for Zumba Flume. He has praises, nothing but praise for Vortex, like I do, and I love that ride. And when it comes to the Woodies, I think that they have a lot of sense of pride in keeping those rides intact, because Wonderland being the unique park it is, as it always has been for its wood coaster offering. So I wouldn't want to see that change. And as much as everyone likes to hate on Wild Beast, it is one of the most talked about rides at that park because of it. So uh, if it were to be gone, then you would probably see a lot of people regretting the fact that it actually was let go. So, all right, this is getting on to a long one here. So you guys are definitely hitting some good topics, bringing me back to Wonderland as usual, though. The bat it seems like these Vekoma boomerangs have a life, like they are the cockroaches of the coaster industry. Like they just won't go away. Like they barely any parks have scrapped them, and it seems like they can be maintained for years and years on end. So I don't know. I don't think that it's going to go anywhere. I still like the bat. Still think it's one of the best placed coasters in the park. I love the way that you approach it from Alpine. I've always just loved that presentation. I think it's one of the best looking rides as far as color scheme. It has easily the best logo, I think, in the park. And I literally would buy bat merch, like a bat T-shirt or a bat sweatshirt if it existed, much as like the old Vortex logo. If that had existed, I would have bought one of those. So yeah, I can't see it really. It's still very popular with park fans, and yeah, I just don't see it going anywhere. So yeah, I don't think Vortex is going anywhere anytime soon. As for my earlier comment about how the park feels about that ride. Um, and RMC, I think everyone has issues with RMC. I think that just generally, even though they're affordable coasters, that they just don't seem to. Their sales team have just not seemed to be able to get new orders in. We haven't seen any major significant new RMCs come down the pipeline in the last couple of years. So it was kind of like Iron Gwazi, and that was it. And which is a shame because, as I said in my last Vive, Zadra is incredible. It's an incredible ride. definitely my top 5, and, it would be very beneficial to have a ride like that, uh, on this side of the pond, because I think it's a completely different experience to Steve. It offers something a little bit different as it does to Iron Gwazi as well. I just think it's an incredible ride and definitely something that we all deserve on this side to experience. All right, I'm starting to get a bit tired, so I think I got to wrap this one up now. I got a busy day tomorrow. Vortex is actually my favorite ride in Wonderland. It's yeah, Vortex at night during Haunt is by far probably the best experience at Wonderland, um, just because of how the smoke and fog in the park and it flying through that. Yeah, it's just incredible. I it's a shame that the drop has been ruined by that by Great Bear Lodge. I think that they should have thought that one out a little bit better than to have it coast past the garbage bins on the bottom of the drop. I just hate that. I don't think that they put much insight into that when they did it. Um, put the patio on that side, like yeah, I guess from a logistical standpoint, they didn't really have another choice, but, yeah, it really has taken away from that particular, section of the ride for sure. Um, and, did I answer the question about which one to be removed? I believe I said flight deck, which I pretty sure I would say is probably the next one to go. Although I don't know whether or not that's gonna be anytime soon. I'll say that much. I think that, uh, I'm gonna be official on this one. I can't see the park getting another major roller coaster in 2027. I don't wanna disappoint anyone, but Wonderland's always had a history of having 3 roller coasters introduced every 3 roller coasters introduced over 10 years, and you usually get a thrill ride, a family coaster, and then something sort of like for kids. So I don't think that's going to change. So if anything, then you'll probably see another family coaster introduced since we just got a kids ride with Snoopy's Racing Railway. So yeah, I don't. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint for them to introduce another major thrill coaster in 2027. Generally, from a merch standpoint and publicity and all that kind of stuff, they really need to let a major attraction sort of soak into the landscape and to have another major thrill ride opened in 2 years after Alpine Fury just makes no sense at all to me. So yeah, I'll put my money on that. I just don't see it happening, and I don't want to disappoint anyone. But as I'm going to kind of allude to the content this year, we're spoiled. Even though Canadians aren't spoiled as far as amusement parks are concerned and theme parks, as far as the Toronto public and the GTA and those of us that consider Wonderland their home park, we are remarkably spoiled now, whereas for many years we were not. So yeah, we have one of the best parks as far as thrills and variety is concerned for coasters in the world, and that's just been going to be even more so when Alpine Fury finally opens in 2027. All right, I said it, but yeah, it'll open this year. But yeah, I'm going to say mid-June is probably when we're going to see it open. We don't really have a holiday in June, so there won't be like a tent pole. But I can feel the frustrations for enthusiasts that want to kind of plan their trips around that coaster opening. I don't think it's going to be our Top Thrill 2. It's great to see Top Thrill 2 open again. I did manage to ride it last year, so I hope it's the same experience because it is definitely in my top coasters ever for sure. But yeah, I think it's going to take a bit of time for that ride to be up and running for us before they can officially announce it. I think there will be another. I think we need a log flume, as I said before in the last stream, and yeah, we need to wrap this one up. It's been great. This has been a great little chat. And yeah, I got to get to bed to get back to the content for tomorrow. But great chat, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I hope I haven't upset anyone with my sort of discussion around the future of parks and stuff like that. But if anything we can count on is that the Wonderland's future is secure. Marineland's maybe is not. But for parks outside of that, it's a scary thing to think that maybe in the short span of time there may only be one major theme park slash amusement park in Canada, and I certainly hope that that isn't the case. But on that note, let's hope that does not happen. As the earlier comment said, we're going to look at bigger and brighter things in the near future in 2026 and 2027, and I'm going to be here to join you with all that for sure. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking with us for such a long stream. Yeah, and we'll see you next week as we're, like I said, going to be doing this a lot more frequently as there's still a lot more to talk about. All right, guys, cheers.